Hello folks, this is Stephen Hewer with Synergistic Nutrition. Welcome to my show, How Healthy Do You Want to Be? Today's topic is going to be about cardiovascular health and the causes of plaque creation in the arterial system and how nutritionally there might be ways to remove the arterial plaque and create clean arteries again. I had an uncle years ago that suffered from cardiovascular disease, and he went down the path that most people did. He had a triple or quadruple bypass, and he also ended up switching his diet over to, I remember it was like the soy bacon and no more animal fats, and basically went down the path that a lot of people were recommended to do back in the 70s. That wasn't a very effective way of dealing with cardiovascular disease. So let's look at what are effective ways to deal with this. Let's first look at what some of the causes are. So today when you go see a doctor and they do your blood draw and analyze your blood fat levels for HDL, LDL, and triglycerides, that's what they're using as a marker to determine your susceptibility to plaque buildup in your arteries. And it's really not a very valid way to determine your susceptibility, because people are still dying of plaque buildup and heart attacks even though they have normal levels of triglycerides and HDL and LDL. So there has to be some other factor involved. And the idea that cholesterol is the demon to avoid can't make sense, because if you go back to 200 years or so, people consumed pork fat, beef fat, lamb fat, chicken fat, butter, cream as a standard part of their diet all the time, and there was relatively no cardiovascular disease. So cardiovascular disease started to become a problem about the 1920s forward. And if you go back in history, you'll see about 1912 or so was when chlorination was introduced as a way to sanitize the municipal water supplies. Well, chlorine is a powerful oxidant, which means that it will take an electron from either an organism to kill the organism or from your cells to damage the cell. So if you're consuming water that has chlorine in it, then the chlorine goes through your arteries and pulls electrons off of the cells lining the arteries, thus damaging the delicate lining of the arteries, creating a spot or a lesion where plaque can accumulate. And then if you look at more modern times in the Korean War, that anytime a man had been there in action for any length of time, had died in action, was autopsied, he showed advanced hardening of the arteries. And this is a young 20-year-old man. But what was different about that is that they were consuming swamp water that was heavily chlorinated. And I had a Korean War veteran confirm this for me when he visited me in my office years ago. He said, this is true. The vapor coming off of those 50-gallon drums of water, the vapor of chlorine was so strong it would knock you out. Studies also been done on roosters where they put chlorinated water into the drinking water supply of a rooster, and the rooster drinks this water exclusively for a period of time, and in 3 months the rooster dies of a heart attack. So chlorine in the water is not a good thing for our bodies. It may be able to kill bacteria, but there's more effective ways to do that. That's a whole other subject. So you have to drink purified water free of chlorine to ensure that you're not introducing a powerful oxidant. So I guess I should back up a little bit and say that the reason for plaque accumulation in the arteries isn't because of the cholesterol in the body, either introduced dietarily or produced by the body. It has to do with the fact that there's damage occurring on the lining of the artery, so that the protective lining, it's called the endothelium glycocalyx, it's a very slippery surface, that protective surface becomes damaged by something that's called a free radical. And there's all kinds of free radicals that we're exposed to from foods and from the environment that we'll talk about. That when you eliminate those things and you eliminate the inflammation that they cause, that the body is capable of healing, removing the plaque that's in your arteries and healing the lining up and having free-flowing blood again. So I mentioned chlorine is the first one. The other one is when we eat meats, our body takes methionine and can use it beneficially, but some of the metabolic pathways for methionine is to create something called homocysteine. And homocysteine was determined as far back as 1969. A medical doctor determined that that was a more accurate marker for the degree of inflammation and tendency towards atherosclerosis. So what can be done to lower the homocysteine levels in our blood, in our bodies? Well, there's a vitamin that we don't get enough of in many instances called folate, that is a B vitamin, that the inactive form of it's called folic acid, and the active form of it that your body can use is called folate. Well, this is now available as a supplement, this active form. About half the population has a genetic variation that limits their ability to convert folic acid to its active state in sufficient quantities to deal with all the body's biochemical needs. In this instance, we're talking about converting homocysteine back into a safe amino acid called cysteine by the presence of folate in the blood. There's this form of folate now available on the market. It's the active form. It's called 5-methylene tetrahydrofolate that we can now take as a supplement. It's been shown to increase blood levels of folate by 700%, and that in the body is able to convert homocysteine back into a safe amino acid called cysteine so that your body's not experiencing the trauma that that molecule causes. So there's that one supplement. There's 3 other nutrients that are supportive of converting that homocysteine back into cysteine besides folate. One of them is B12, the active form of B12, the active form of B6, and also trimethylglycine. So there is a wonderful supplement on the market that has all 4 of those things in it, and it's called homocysteine factors that we carry here at Synergistic Nutrition. Another contributor to plaque buildup in the arteries that Dr. Oster found out was the homogenization of milk. So normally milk will separate so that the cream comes to the top and the milk is below it. But when you homogenize it, you break down the fat molecules so that it stays permanently suspended, homogenized so that it's mixed completely uniformly throughout the milk. However, this mechanical action also rips open and breaks down the fat molecules and causes them to coat an enzyme found in milk called xanthine oxidase. Normally, xanthine oxidase will be destroyed in the digestive process, but as a result of this coating of the fat coating the enzyme, it ends up protecting it from digestion so that it survives and goes into our bloodstream. And when it gets into our arteries, it can damage the lining of our arteries and again create areas where plaque will begin to accumulate. So it's best to consume milk that's not homogenized, and it's also best to consume milk that is not even pasteurized. I know this may be controversial to some people, but when you study the subject thoroughly, you'll find out that the facts show that raw milk is literally like an antibiotic, an immune system boosting food, a powerful way to support bones, teeth, overall tissue repair, immunity, health, brain function, kidney health. There's all kinds of benefits to raw milk that get destroyed from heating because there's growth factors in it that you lose from heating. There's proteins that become denatured. So if you want to study this and understand it like I do, there's a good book called The Untold Story of Raw Milk by Dr. Ron Schmidt that will enlighten you and enable you to feel confident that it's safe to consume raw milk. There's raw milk suppliers around the country now. You can go to a website called realmilk.com to find most states have farmers producing raw milk from grass-pastured cows that's safe and healthy to consume. The other contributor to cardiovascular disease is polyunsaturated vegetable oils. So those are the vegetable oils that are liquid at room temperature. So you've got corn oil and you've got soybean oil and all these different oils that are produced on the market. And the mechanical way of processing seeds and using sort of like a big corkscrew and the heat and the friction and the chemicals and the gases they use to extract the oils out of the nuts and seeds ends up producing an oil that's become oxidized. So this oxidized form of vegetable oil actually is called a lipid peroxide, and when it's circulating through the blood, it damages the lining of the arteries, contributing to plaque buildup again. So there is safe vegetable oils that you can consume, but they need to be pressed at cold temperatures, stored in dark bottles, and then stored in refrigeration in most instances. There is one company in the United States that carries those kinds of oils that I'm aware of called Flora, F-L-O-R-A, and they've got delicious cold-pressed oils that are safe to consume. However, again, you don't want to heat these. You want to use these on your food after they're cooked. So since we now know that the real cause of plaque buildup in the arteries is a damage to the lining of the artery and the beginning of plaque formation, then the idea of trying to lower cholesterol artificially through statin drugs really doesn't make any sense. There's over 900 studies that document the side effects of statin drugs. Muscle problems, acidosis, immune system depression, increasing liver enzymes, anemia, sexual dysfunction, cataracts, memory loss, all kinds of negative side effects. Nature already has an answer for us in the natural plant kingdom. So let's continue to explore this subject further. Another subject that's important to realize is that the way you cook your food determines the degree to which it will benefit you or contribute to more inflammation and plaque formation. All foods have this substance in them called advanced glycation end products that is toxic to our bodies, that our body has to excrete and not use. Where our bodies are designed to handle a certain amount of that and they can excrete it just fine, but when the amount of these advanced glycation end products enter the body in excessive amounts and our bodies can't get rid of them in a timely manner, they'll build up and impregnate tissues. And when they attach to tissues, they damage them. They'll damage your kidneys, your arteries, causing cross-linking, hardening of the arteries, plaque accumulation, contributing to kidney failure, contributing to insulin insensitivity, and all these different ailments that we give these labels to, all as a result of the accumulation of something called an advanced glycation end product, or AGEs for short, AGES. Well, this substance, as I said, occurs in foods, but when you cook your foods in dry heat methods, you increase the levels much more significantly. So the best way to cook your foods is with water or moisture. So steaming, stewing, crock potting are superior methods of ensuring that you keep your advanced glycation end product production lower. And when it comes to meats, they are the highest source of the advanced glycation end products. So it's really important to treat them with this proper cooking method instead of dry heat to use. So it's really important to use steaming or stewing methods with that. But there is another method you could use, which is marination. So if you marinate with vinegar or lemon juice or a water herbal-based mixture, such as in the instance of corned beef. Corned beef is a water, brine, I believe, herbal solution that's, marinating that meat in that water herbal solution, and then you cook it that way. That is a method whereby you significantly lower the advanced glycation end product so that it's easier on the body, much easier on the body. I'd like to make a point about the advanced glycation end products that will probably surprise you. It has been shown in people with diabetes that when they eat foods that are cooked less and at lower temperatures, that this decreased the amount of circulating oxidized LDL cholesterol by 74% and decreased the amount of C-reactive protein by 41%. Okay, oxidized LDL cholesterol is a major contributor to damage of the lining of the arteries. It reduced it by 74%. C-reactive protein is known to be a contributor to plaque buildup in the arteries. 41% reduction simply by lowering the temperature at which they cook their food and the length of time they cook their food. Okay, here's another study on the AGEs regarding rats. In another study done on mice, it was shown that those fed the highest concentrations of AGEs in their diet had the greatest degree of plaque in the arteries. What about sugar? We all love sweets. Fruits and dried fruits and honey and maple syrup are nature's natural sources of those. You can even get cane sugar in the stores that still has all the minerals in it. It's called sucanat. Any of those sugars that still have the brown color to them have the minerals still present, and those would be more beneficial to the body than the pure white sugars. They can be used in small amounts in the diet, the refined sugars that still have their minerals in them. But so many people have been consuming foods with natural flavors in them, and the natural flavors name, not in all instances, but in many instances, is a code name for food-derived MSG. And MSG is a very powerful substance to enhance flavor, but it also damages the tissues of our body, contributing to insulin insensitivity, diabetes, obesity. And so many people have been consuming fast foods for so many years, and refined foods and pre-prepared foods, which typically universally all have this MSG added to it under a different label, not called MSG. Then there's also the consumption of artificial sweeteners that damage our body. There's the consumption of the refined white flour products with no nutrients in them. There is the cooked vegetable oils that people have consumed for years that has damaged their cells' ability to function correctly. There's just so many things, as well as mineral deficiencies, that have led to so many people being insulin insensitive and the tendency for diabetes. And this is a situation where it accelerates the plaque buildup in the arteries because the insulin, as it goes up and down, instead of staying even and not going high and staying even, the insulin contributes when it goes high to the plaque accumulation in the arteries. So it's important to realize that while sweets are enjoyable, you don't want to consume the refined ones if at all possible. You want to eliminate them from your diet. and you want to consume natural sweets, fruit juices that are freshly pressed, which is delicious, by the way, dried fruits. To make a point about the refined sugar, rabbits and monkeys fed a high sucrose diet developed coronary and aortic atherosclerosis. In humans, the excess consumption of refined sucrose and fructose increases triglycerides, platelet stickiness, uric acid levels, and decreases HDL levels. So, real important that you go away from refined sugar products towards natural sweets all the time. One of the fats that contributes to your blood cells remaining free-flowing and not sticky as they go through the bloodstream is EPA-DHA. This is a fat that you can get derived from fish, so it's a fish oil-derived supplement. We carry a real good one, and that would be an excellent product to add to the diet to ensure that your blood flows freely through your arteries, as well as improving your nutrition to the brain. It's an important fat for the brain. The brain's primary fat that it's composed of is EPA-DHA. And while most of us know that cigarette smoking is not good for the human body, it is also a contributor to arterial plaque development. So if a person has a cigarette smoking problem, they difficulty getting off of it, if you call our office, Synergistic Nutrition, we would be happy to give you the advice you need. We know exactly what nutrients you need to feed your nervous system so that your craving for cigarettes, the physical craving for cigarettes, can go away completely, and you can get off the cigarettes and still feel great, centered, even, peaceful, all the benefits that you get from the nicotine. Okay, here's another one that not too many people are aware of. Your teeth. When you have a root canal tooth, you have an infected tooth in your jawbone. That tooth infection will leach toxins into the bloodstream that can damage the lining of the artery and contribute to the plaque formation in the artery. Dr. Wesley A. Price did studies on this and confirmed this many decades ago in the early 1900s, and he took the tooth out of the jawbone of a man who died of a heart attack that was a root canal tooth, and he put it underneath the skin of a rabbit, and within a few weeks that rabbit died of a heart attack. He repeated that experiment, and each time the rabbit would die of a heart attack. So George Menig wrote a book called Root Canal Cover-Up if you want to actually learn the details of this, but basically a root canal tooth is an infected tooth all the time. There's no getting around it, and you would be better off to replace that with a false tooth in the form of a post and a false tooth on top of the post. You can call our office if you want more information on that. We can direct you to websites and things that can help you find practitioners, dentists that can work with you in this. Not all dentists are aware, so you need to be guided to those that are. Okay, we've talked about factors that cause plaque buildup in the arteries. Now what do we do nutritionally that can intervene and help us to clean the arteries 100%? Well, the first one is nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is an important gas produced along the lining of the arteries in response to the blood flowing through the arteries. The shear force causes the endothelium to mechanically be stressed and produce nitric oxide. So a healthy endothelium ensures that you produce nitric oxide in your arteries naturally. Nitric oxide dilates your blood vessels so that you carry maximal levels of blood and oxygen to all tissues of the body. And it also helps to prevent plaque accumulation and also helps to dissolve and remove plaque accumulation. So if after years of damage to your lining of your arteries, you no longer have efficient or optimal production of nitric oxide, what can you do to nutritionally raise your levels? Well, arginine is the amino acid needed by the body to create this nitric oxide, but taking arginine alone is not really the most effective way to achieve a higher level of nitric oxide, because it actually transitions from arginine to nitric oxide so quickly that it basically produces nitric oxide for a few seconds before it's all gone and the effects are gone. But there is a way to achieve this with a couple other supplements. So cranberry juice extract or cranberry extract along with grapeseed extract, they're both rich sources of something called proanthocyanidins, and these substances together have been shown to increase blood vessel diameter by 2% 60 minutes after you've consumed it, which means for 60 minutes they're seeing an increase in blood vessel dilation, which is phenomenal. So those two substances are great. The other one is citrulline. It's an amino acid again, and citrulline is the amino acid that is one step before becoming arginine. So it becomes arginine, but because it's not arginine, that transition from citrulline to arginine takes time. So there's a prolonged level of nitric oxide production capability as a result of having citrulline be the amino acid rather than arginine. So citrulline in this product called nitric oxide ultra, along with the cranberry extract and the grapeseed extract combine to support your body's ability to produce this nitric oxide to clean the arteries of existing plaque. Okay, once the arteries have become clean of plaque, we still need to heal the lining so there's no more areas where plaque wants to stick. So you need to promote the body's ability to produce proteins, because all tissues of the body are proteins. So this lining of the arterial system, the endothelium glycocalyx, needs to be healed. Things that might help support that I'm going to now introduce you to. So anything that increases growth factors in the body would be contributing to improving protein synthesis in the body. Why is that? Well, your body, when you're young, you have the highest levels of growth factors. Testosterone, estrogen, insulin is a growth factor in beneficial instances. IGF-1, growth hormone. There's a lot of named and unnamed growth factors in our body that contribute to the uptake of amino acids into the cells. So you're eating protein as you grow, and your body's assimilating the amino acids into the tissues. You make new proteins, and you grow and repair and heal. When you get older, your body's production of growth factors declines by 10% each passing decade or more, so that your ability to absorb the amino acids is diminished. The growth factors work in a manner where they're much like the key to a door that unlocks the door and opens the door and allows the amino acids to go into the cells. Without the growth factors, the amino acids can circulate through the bloodstream and never get into the cells. This is one of the reasons why people, when they're older, they shrivel up, they wrinkle, their organs shrink in size and function, and they don't repair as well, even though they're eating the same amount of protein they did 20, 30 years earlier in their life. So we have a product designed to increase the body's growth factor levels, and that's called Synergy 1. Synergy 1's been in our practice for many years, and we've had people report everything under the sun with regards to improved health. One instance is a man named Ron Polstra, who is a client that came to me with 70% occluded arteries. And he took my advice, he got onto a more raw diet, and he also supplemented it with this Synergy 1. 12 months later, Ron Polstra came back and let me know that his arteries were 100% free of all plaque.
Hey, Ron, you had said you'd been diagnosed with coronary artery disease with a 70% occluded artery, I believe, in your carotid artery.
Yes, that's correct. It was on the left side, the artery in my neck.
Yeah. And anyways, you got on several products that I recommended, and you also probably improved your diet. And I think after 12 months, you had another test redone and found that your artery was now 100% clear. Is that correct?
Well, yes. That's actually, I had two tests. The first one, I was going through a cancer situation at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it was approximately 1 year from the time that they did this test to find out, that sonogram, to find out if I had a clogged artery. And they found out I did, but it was on the opposite side, on the right side. But they also found this cancer on the left side, and then I went through the whole system of having to have a surgery and so forth to remove that pocket of, it was actually a sac that was up above my jawline.
Right.
And that was removed, and then after the surgery had gone through and I had healed probably for a couple of months, they sent me back for another sonogram, and on that sonogram there was no plaque at all. I was completely free of it on both sides, left and right.
How long of a time since you'd been on the supplement program and improved diet did it take till you did the retest?
Well, it actually, I had been on for at least a year.
Okay.
Actually, it started just before the cancer, and then I had kept continuing through it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards. And then, of course, I had another test, sonogram, done about 9 months ago, and they did the same thing, and I was clear again. I was completely clear on both the arteries.
All right. So
and that was a period of about 3.5 years from the first time.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds really, really encouraging. Like you're obviously on the right track, and the arteries are going to continue to stay clean because you understand what diet and supplements it takes now to ensure that your arteries don't have that problem.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, they were completely okay. So
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, Ron.
sure.
So Synergy One's a powerful product that helps people in more ways than supporting protein synthesis and arterial health, perhaps. It's many benefits that you can find some of the testimonies about what it's done for people on our Synergistic Nutrition website, Testimonials tab. Arterial Cell HP is the next product I'd like to talk about. 20 years ago, a medical doctor wanted to find a natural alternative to ways of thinning the blood that didn't require him to use heparin in his medical practice to thin or dissolve blood clots and things. And he discovered a seaweed called Monostroma nitidum that if you extracted the properties from that seaweed, you would obtain something called rhamnin sulfate. And this rhamnin sulfate acts as a powerful natural anticoagulant and also something that helps to support healing of the endothelium glycocalyx. Studies show this. It's fantastic with its results, and it's the first type of a supplement of its kind that actually has been shown and proven to actually help heal the lining of the arteries so that smooth, slippery surface is restored so that plaque can't accumulate anywhere. Another part of healing the protein structures of the body, the connective tissues of the body, is the need for vitamin C and bioflavonoids. Okay, ascorbic acid is different than vitamin C. It's made from cornstarch. It can be beneficial to the body, but the body needs the flavonoids, which can only occur if you get the vitamin C from food sources. So there's a great product on the market called Baobab fruit powder. It's from South Africa. This is my favorite form of vitamin C to take for this purpose. There's also the need for minerals to support the healing of the body and the arteries. There's 3 minerals in particular that are needed for supporting arterial health. They are copper, zinc, and selenium. So to ensure you get all those minerals, and minerals work in conjunction with other minerals, so I like to recommend minerals in conjunction with all the minerals. So in this instance, I'm recommending a product called Mineral Magic. It's a product we've worked with for years. It's got all the trace minerals in it. People have used it and given us all these great testimonies like more energy, mentally, physically, gray hair reversing sometimes. They lose their craving for unhealthy foods. So Mineral Magic is a real winner of a product. There's the body's need for protein to heal too, really easily assimilatable protein. The heating process of meats causes us to denature and make unavailable a lot of the amino acids that make up the meat. So getting a non-denatured protein into the body, one where the amino acids are more easily used, would be very helpful to the overall healing process of the body. So to support that, we recommend a fantastic whey protein powder that we've worked with for years called One World Whey. I've seen miracles occur on this product with One World Whey. People have called us up and told us that they've been on Prozac for 20 years, and after 10 months on our One World Whey, they don't need their Prozac anymore because their brain and their mood is back to normal. We've had mothers tell us that their autistic 3-year-old boy with 7 lung tumors had all 7 of them go away in 30 days on One World Whey. Another woman that was diabetic say that her neuropathy pain in her feet went away and she was able to play and run around with her kids again after only 2.5 months on the One World Whey. She gave it to her 2 kids, a girl and a boy. They're both the same age. They both had problems. The boy was on the autistic spectrum and he had constipation. But after 2.5 months on One World Whey, this boy's constipation went away and he began to speak normally for the first time to his mother, and he made his first friend. And the daughter, who was stunted in her growth, losing her hair, and depressed, she got on the One World Whey and Synergy One, and again in 2.5 months, her hair loss stopped, her mood was restored, and she was growing again. So those are just some of the many testimonies we've got. And again, if you go to our testimonial section on our website, the Synergistic Nutrition website, which is sgn80.com, sgn80.com. If you go to that website, you can check out all the testimonies, and I think you'll be more than convinced of the efficacy of these unique products, unlike anything on the market. Another reason why we like to recommend One World Whey is because it supports the body's production of glutathione, which is one of the primary means by which your body gets rid of inflammation and gets rid of toxins. Part of aging for many people is a hardening of the tissues and a hardening of the arteries, and one of the ingredients that contributes to that is calcium. It's called calcification. So anything that can be used to reverse this would be very advantageous to regaining normal tissue function and flexibility to all systems of the body. So vitamin K2 is the main thing we want to focus on here for that. Vitamin K2 is a substance which, when taken, can help increase the body's production of something called matrix GLA protein. Matrix GLA protein is something that will remove calcium from the soft tissues so that those tissues regain their softness and their flexibility and functionality. So therefore, it may help to contribute to reversing hardening of the arteries. It also contributes to helping the bones remineralize and become strong, dense bones again. The most powerful antioxidant the body produces and that we can obtain from food sources in nature is called superoxide dismutase. It can neutralize 1 million free radicals at a time. This is a very powerful substance. As we age, our body's production of all things, antioxidants, declines, and so inflammation occurs. So anything that would increase superoxide dismutase in the body can help to get rid of inflammation. Nature's richest source of that substance that I'm aware of is the juice from barley grass or wheat grass. So we have a product called Barley Max Berry and Barley Max Mint that gives you a delicious tasting form of the juice, the dried juice from barley grass. So you get a ton of this superoxide dismutase, get a lot of vitamins, nutrients that support the building of your blood cells, also the ability to detoxify, also the ability to support deodorization of the body. It's a great, excellent green food, superfood supplement to take a couple teaspoons of twice a day. Lastly, I want to talk about a supplement called Protovite. This is a new development in the science of nutritional delivery of nutrients and herbal extracts to our tissues. They use a science they've developed and patented where they've taken phospholipids that's very rich in phosphatidylcholine, that is a way to encapsulate the herbs and the nutrients in a fatty lipid delivery system that the cells love. So there's a guaranteed absorption of this kind of vitamin, mineral nutrition into the body. And the results are so effective that people feel it in as little as 5 minutes. Improved mood, improved energy. That's the way I feel. They call this patented delivery system called the protosomes. The main reason that I'm talking about it here with regards to cardiovascular health is that blood cells are supposed to retain a charge so they repel each other. Kind of like two south poles of a magnet. If you bring them together, they repel each other. That's the way red blood cells are supposed to be as they flow through the bloodstream. But I've looked at enough people's blood specimens under a microscope to see that many people don't have that, and their blood cells are clumping together, which reduces their oxygen carrying capacity and makes it so there's a tendency towards clotting in your arterial system. Watch this video that I'm about to show you and you'll see where someone's blood specimen was looked at before they took Protovite and it's all clumped, and then they took Protovite and waited 5 minutes and they retook their blood and looked at it again, and the blood cells were all free flowing and the white blood cells had enlarged by 4 times. This made the immune system stronger. That's a fantastic response in the shortest time of any supplement that I've ever seen.
This is a pretty good sample. We seem to have a lot of cell aggregation though. And that's basically the red blood cells have lost their negative charge. This will be very interesting. This is a white blood cell right here, neutrophil in particular. And again, about quarter the size it should be, probably because of the cell aggregation somehow affecting circulation, indirectly or directly affecting immune. So again, there's another neutrophil right there in the middle of the screen.
Nice video.
And it should be about twice or 3 times as big. Okay, this is 5 minutes after taking the multi, and we've restored the negative charge. The red blood cells are very loose, free-flowing. There's 2 neutrophils, one in the top left corner, one in the bottom right corner, and you can see that the neutrophils are 4 times bigger. It's been 5 minutes. To me, that's absolutely amazing, and I've been doing this for 14 years. I've done over 40,000 sessions. I've never seen a product that changes the blood. I've certainly seen it changing in 3 and 4 months, but not 5 minutes. So there's definitely something amazing going on here. And again, the white blood cells are 4 times as big. The red blood cells are loose and free-flowing. Almost looks like somebody totally different's blood.
Okay, I've covered all the bases. You now have the recipe for creating clean arteries, free of plaque, and living your whole life free of strokes, heart attacks, and being very healthy and happy to be alive. This is an abbreviated version of a full presentation that I've written that you're welcome to call our office about, and we're happy to send you a PDF document of the full presentation, and or we'll put it onto our website, and you can download it off the sgn80.com website. But we're available by phone 9 to 5 Eastern time. If we're not around, leave a voicemail. We're happy to call you back. I'm happy to consult with people by phone. I'll give you as much time as I have to offer. I thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to hearing from you.